So what does it all mean, if anything, for the special counsel probe? As you may recall, the Judiciary Committee is moving forward with a bill to protect Robert Mueller, any future special counsel. Well, I spoke a short time ago with a key member of the committee. I started by asking Senator Lindsey Graham about the committee moving forward with this legislation, despite the fact he's being told it's going to go nowhere.
Here's my goal. I have no belief that President Trump is going to fire Mueller or Rosenstein. I think that would be a disaster. Quite frankly, I think President Trump's going to come out of this thing okay if he'll just watch what he says. But this protects special counsels. All it says, if you get fired, you can petition a court within 10 days to see if you were fired for cause. There's a regulation that says you can only fire a special counsel for cause. This gives a check and balance for this all the way for the future.
So even if the committee moves forward on this and Senator Grassley says, yeah, we consider what the majority leader says, but that doesn't dictate what our committee does.
Right.
Is the worry about putting it to a floor vote that it would fail, that not enough Republicans would vote for it, and it would be a bad reflection on the GOP?
All I can say is that I think special counsels are not political appointees, but they're not civil servants. So what am I trying to do? Make sure that if a special counsel is fired in the future by a political appointee, that judges can look at the firing to see if it was for a cause. I can tell you this, if the roles were reversed and this was Hillary Clinton saying these things, we would be all for this. So I'm trying to make sure that special counsels in the future have an ability to protect themselves by going to court and making sure judges agree with the firing.
All right, another big vote coming up in the Senate on Monday. Senate Foreign Relations is going to vote on the nomination of now CIA Director, hoping to be Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. But there has been at least one very vocal Republican critic who says he's not going to vote for him, and he just doesn't think he's the right fit for the president and what he thinks is the president's foreign policy.
Well, let me tell you, Rand Paul ran for president, got beat like a drum. I ran for president, got beat like a drum. I think we owe it to President Trump to give him the ability that every other president has to pick a qualified person to be Secretary of State. You know, Rand Paul is a libertarian. There's no way Trump's going to pick a libertarian. I hate it when liberal Democrats basically neutralize the election. They don't recognize Trump winning, but they expect us to vote for Obama's people. So Rand Paul is a member of the Republican Party. He's undercutting the Republican president, who's picked a highly qualified Republican, the #1 in his class at West Point, been a member of Congress for, I think, 8 or 10 years, is now the CIA director. And if that's not enough, President Trump picked Pompeo to meet with a North Korean leader because he has that much confidence in him. So I would say to Rand Paul, honor the results of the election. You lost, I lost, and there's no way in hell you can say that Mike Pompeo is not qualified for this job. I'm so disappointed in Democrats. I voted for most all of Obama's nominees because I thought they were qualified. Elections matter. You know, I said that when Obama won. Yep. He deserves his own cabinet. But it bothers me greatly that a Republican would join with Democrats to undercut this selection by President Trump. Pompeo needs to be on the job tomorrow. There's a lot going on in the world, and I can't believe the Senate would deny President Trump as Secretary of State, who's highly qualified, at a time when the world is really on fire.
Yeah, and let's talk about North Korea, because he took part in this very high-level meeting. We think it's the highest level between the two countries since at least 2000 with then Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. This is what the Wall Street Journal is now saying. They said South Korean President Moon Jae-in said Thursday that North Korea had dropped its longtime insistence that the U.S. remove its 28,500 troops from the Korean Peninsula ahead of a planned summit, saying that it only sought a security guarantee and an end to the U.S.'s hostile policy. Now, North Korea has not in any way publicly confirmed that, but does it sound to you like they're legitimately softening on some of these issues?
The only reason they're at the table is that they're afraid of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has done a heck of a job of convincing North Korea that he's serious when he says, I'll never let you hit the homeland with a nuclear weapon. Every president before him was played by North Korea. The only reason they're at the table is because of the fire and fury rhetoric. They believe that Trump, if he had to as a last resort, would use military force to protect America. Now that we're at the table, Pompeo is a perfect guy. He's the CIA director. He understands the world. So we're here at a moment of tremendous historic opportunity. Trump said, I'll walk away if I have to. I won't go if I don't think it's going to be worth my time. But here's what I think. I think President Trump has a chance not only to get North Korea to give up their nuclear weapons, but end the Korean War. It's never come to an end. What about a peace treaty between North Korea, South Korea, China and the United States. And for that, to normalize relationship with North Korea, we ask that you give up your nuclear weapons. South Korea doesn't have nukes. Japan doesn't have nukes. You don't need nukes. I give President Trump and his team tremendous credit, and we're on the verge of something potentially very historic.
I want to ask you quickly, as an attorney yourself for decades, what you make of this Inspector General referral of Andrew McCabe, the former #2 at the FBI, a criminal referral to the U.S. Attorney. His attorneys feel very certain it's not going anywhere, and it certainly doesn't mean there'll be anything formal beyond this point, but what do you make of it?
Well, Mr. Horowitz has the reputation to be fair-minded. He was basically a Democrat, but I think he's doing a good job. The attorneys can say what they would like, but it would bother me greatly if I was Mr. McCabe's lawyer to have the Inspector General say, I believe a crime was committed here. Now, Mr. McCabe is presumed innocent until proven otherwise, but I think this is just another example of how corrupt the Department of Justice was. And one thing about Comey, Rudy was a good choice by President Trump to be on his legal team.
Giuliani,
but I've been a prosecutor and a defense attorney long before I got in politics. If Jim Comey were my witness, I don't think I'd have a snowball's chance in hell of convincing anybody that he's reliable.
Well, he's had a lot to say on all sides of a number of issues. Senator, thanks for coming in. Good to see you tonight.